Another crazy week, folks. Holy crapola. Holy shite. Wrestling is on a whole other level. And I am glad that you all have chosen to join me on this wild ride that is weekly pro wrestling. And you know, at this point, we're talking about every kind of damn pro wrestling. But either way, thank you again for choosing Troubles with Weekly Wrestling for your rant of the week. I'm sure. I hope that I'm at least the best rant of the week. We aren't conceited enough to say that we're the podcast of the week, but we're trying over here. And of course, I'm talking about my crazy ass. It's been a great week. We had a little bit of a show, down under. We'll get into deep. We had a great show in Austin on what was Tuesday. Actually aired, though, Wednesday. And I will say that show really exceeded all expectations. So we'll start with that. But I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping, and I want to say, again, thanks, guys. I really love the little group that I have online of wrestling people. It's it's not only just positive, but it's also productive. I really like the little cove around me of people that want to do podcasts and not just sit here and talk about wrestling, but try to actually do something cool. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm excited about that. Just realized the logo's fucked up, so we're starting great. There we go. It'll look way better in the thumbnail, I'll put it that way. But either way, it wouldn't be Troubles with Weekly Wrestling without some fucking troubles, right? And why not have it be technical, right? But either way, shout out to All Elite Wrap Up, Tim and Tom. Those guys are killing it. Shout outs to The Hard Way with Brett Michelle. She's fucking killing it. Shout outs, of course, to Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out by our the esteemed iBlade Daily, even if he is in a box, and Joshi G. Shout out to Joshi J as well. His little guest appearance on the show a couple weeks ago was very impressive. Beautiful group, and there are others, of course. We've got the Shoot Sessions, I believe is the name. I hope I didn't butcher that, dude, of Shane Ethos out there. I don't have handles and all that stuff, but you will find them because I repost and whatever we call it now all the time, their stuff, and will continue to do so. So love the community, love everybody out there doing their fucking thing. I also like that too. We're not just cookie cutter drones like maybe the E has, or I guess TNA. Do they have fans anymore? I don't know. I'd hate to shit on TNA any more than they shit on themselves, but it really is a beautiful time to be a wrestling fan. I know I feel like I say that a lot, but it really is, especially a week like this week. And I'm actually going to start, now that I think about it, over in Japan, because there was a great card over there. The great New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're going to zoom this out a little bit so that fucking poor old Zack Saber's head is not cut off. But what a great show that New Beginnings in Osaka was. Obviously, the main event, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, where finally Hiroki Goto wins the world title. I mean, a feel-good moment for anybody. Really, probably the closest thing I could think of is when Mick Foley won the WWF title the first time. I would say it's on that level, very seriously, at least for Japanese wrestling, because Goto's a guy that the fans have loved for a really long time, but he's always been almost, he was the never champion. He was Intercontinental champion, I believe, at one point. He's won the tag titles 400 billion times, and he just has never won the big one. And I think this was a perfect end to Zack Sabre Jr.'s run as champion. Do I think it could have been longer? Sure. But I think it was a solid run. If you think about, he had the match with Ricochet that exceeded expectation January 5th. He had the great match with Shota Umino on the 4th. He's done a little bit. I wonder now, though, what is next for Zack Sabre Jr.? Because you wonder, right? It's like, well, okay, maybe he stays in New Japan and continues his run, but part of me feels like he could be very well AEW bound. And of course, I don't know anything, and I don't know contracts with him specifically, but I just mean, if I'm Zack Sabre Jr., and I know he loves Japan, though, that's the only thing, but then again, so did Kenny, and so did a lot of guys that go elsewhere. It's interesting to think about. I think this win with Goto is one that is going to shift New Japan in several ways, not just because he's the champion. And I do hope that they keep him strong. I think you should keep the belt on him for a little bit and give him a credible run. So I thought that was incredible. I really think the match of the night, though, was the global title match, Yota Tsuji and Gabe Kidd. It went to a draw. I know a lot of people didn't like that it was a draw. I fucking love it. I think stuff like that, especially in a company like New Japan where they don't do finishes like that a lot, it's very effective when you do, and you do it in the right way. And I think this was the perfect place to do it. These are two young stars rising. Why give either of them a loss here? Keep them both strong. And of course, after that match, my boy, and a lot of people are probably about to hate me, but I'm just going to throw it out there, folks. My boy, Evil. I'm an Evil Mark. I love Evil. And his House of Torture officially fractured away from Bullet Club War Dogs. They're on their own. He kind of did the inverse thing that the Death Riders did. He just had a plain black shirt instead of the plain white shirt. Love it. Obviously, on that front, I also got to shout out Shop AEW for coming out with the all white shirt, except for at the very bottom that has a little black text that says Property of Death Riders. Fucking love that. If I didn't actually need the $30, I would buy it. So that was great. I love where that heads. Of course, I assume it's Yota Tsuji versus Evil going forward. Gabe Kidd can now go on his own. The real thing is, does Gabe Kidd continue with the War Dogs and they turn face together? I feel like it's got to be an exit situation for old Gabe Kidd. He's gotten too over, and that's not a bad thing. Another great fucking highlight of the night was the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Title match. Naito and Hiromu challenging the Young Bucks. I thought this was good. There were definitely some fuck-ups, and it kind of, another example of what I feel like. I love Naito, but he is definitely near the end of his run, and it was showing here. Thought the Bucks looked as good as they have in a long time, not just physically like their physiques, but in the ring. I mean, they were doing all the dives. They were doing all the 2014 junior shit that they did, and this was stellar. They dropped the titles, Naito and Hiromu. My wife... best quote of the whole show was, man, those guys look badass with the belts, though. I agree. I think they get a little run here, and I just, again, I hate to harp on it, but the biggest thing I got out of this was obviously that the Bucks are on another level again, so I'm excited to see when they do come back to AEW and what they do when they do. Is Naito and his fucking deterioration. I mean, dude, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his knees again. I don't know. I think it's everything, probably. I think he has just wrestled a hard style. He had some high level fucking matches for months and years in a row. And it's weird. Like, when you look at Japanese wrestling, for the most part, it's really not the norm to have an extended exit from a company just to heal. That isn't really a thing. You just go till you can't go anymore. Which we've seen be tragic in many instances, unfortunately. But it is their culture. A lot of these guys, that's what they want to do. I'm sure Naito is no different. So anyway, I thought the never open weight title match with Konosuke Takeshita and Oleg Boltin was stellar. I think it was easily Boltin's best match so far. Not a surprise when he's in the ring with a guy like Takeshita. And there's a point, and actually, let me pull this up. I fucking took a screenshot of this because I thought there has never been a human being that's looked cooler than Takeshita did here. I think he is an enigma. He is a true enigma in wrestling right now, and that is really tough to be. Here it is. I mean, this is fucking dope, folks, right? I mean, double belt fucking Takeshita, just looking pissed. Beautiful. I thought that was great, and I'll leave this up on the screen while I kind of do a little soliloquy, if you will, about Takeshita. I mean, he is truly unlike anybody else in the business right now. He's a huge guy, but he's as athletic as anybody of any size. He has a charisma without really speaking any English. I mean, the fact that he can sort of convey his feelings and things like that in the ring without really, I don't know how much English he knows, but he definitely doesn't display a lot of English. So he does obviously have Don Callis, who is as good of a fucking mouthpiece as you can get in the business. Obviously, fuck that guy because he's great, to be honest. I'll just cope. No pun intended, maybe. Anyway, I'm like going a mile a minute here. I'm on a roll. Folks. And not only that, Takeshita is on a fucking roll. I just had to share that little screenshot with you because I think it was fucking sick. But yeah, great match from Boltin as well. I'm very high on Oleg Boltin. I think he could be something for New Japan. And oddly enough, we'll talk about him. He could be almost like a new age Makabe, in fact. And fuck, Makabe ended up getting the fucking title at one point. So there you go. And then the IWGP Junior Tag Title match, Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita, who I'm another guy I'm very high on. Do believe I talked about him against Desperado in the last show. If I didn't, you guys should absolutely check that out from the show previous to the Osaka show. Unbelievable. And they were wrestling Yo and Rocky Romero. Rocky Romero, timeless guy in the business. Unbelievable performer, and this was no different. This was a solid match. Obviously, the champions retain. TMDK continues with that gold. We did mention those Zack Sabre Jr. losing the World Heavyweight Championship, so that was new beginnings in Osaka. I'm excited to see what happens with New Japan going forward. All right, now we pivot to Dynamite. And Dynamite was a great fucking show. I know, I feel like I'm a fucking barker over here. But yeah, it was a great show. And it was taped on Tuesday in Austin, Texas. Austin's always a beautiful crowd for AEW and just wrestling in general, and this was no different. We started with one of my favorite things right now in AEW, the Best Wrestler Alive Open Challenge. Max Caster's talking all that shit. And Hangman just comes out, straight up whips his fucking ass, hits the buckshot, 1, 2, fucking 3. And he runs out. Beautiful start to the show. Ricochet cuts a promo in the back about, I'm taking everything that you have left, Ricochet. And he took that embassy robe. I love this shit that Ricochet's doing. I mean, you talk about a guy that was so much better off going to AEW. I mean, he has really changed everything about the trajectory of his career. It's very similar, I gotta admit, to what Swerve did when he came to AEW. We all knew Swerve was talented, just like with Ricochet, right? But he hadn't reached his potential. And he did, and he found his Swerve character in AEW. I think Ricochet's doing that here with the creepy fucking stabby guy. as one of my best friends in the world, Gabe, said, literally, that he's like, I like Ricochet because he's a great wrestler, and he's just stabby. He's just stabbing guys. I love that. So do I. The World Trios Championship opens the show. We had that kind of bullshit match earlier, but this was not a bullshit match. This was back and forth. There was the Death Riders, Yuta, Pac, and Claudio defending those trios world titles against Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. This was great. This was really, really good shit. And, you know, everyone felt like they had their purpose in this thing. Like, Roddy had his, like, flash fucking comeback offense. Cole did his fucking shit. Kyle O'Reilly did the mat work and the mean fucking strikes. And Yuta was the cuck. That is, until the end, when Yuta, with the low blow, rolls up fucking, I think it was O'Reilly. Yes, it was. Steals the pin. They're on the beat down, and out comes Daniel Garcia, our TNT champion, Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange, to run him off. So that's the fucking deal. Even though they lost the three-way trios match, I guess that's our move going forward. I don't know. The trios division, very all over the place. Not that I'm mad about it, but it does feel a little disjointed right now. MJF's in the back. You know, he's fucking talking about Dustin's going to get put down like a piece of shit, basically. Hangman, get out of here, kid, to MJF. MJF's like, oh, yeah, really? I don't know. And he basically just, he cuts him a new one. He's like, 4 weeks in a row, you're questioning yourself, you lost all your friends. And I need a fucking apology for the lack of respect. I'm beating Dustin Rhodes, and then I will be a 2-time world champion. I am here for MJF and Hangman. Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata killed John Cruz, Aaron Solo, and Rosario Grillo. This was great. What was better, though, was the promo afterwards, and it was just the best. Fucking Joe got what was it, chicken ass over. That was awesome. You know, he got the fans to fucking chant that, and he said that this group is the ops. Everyone has a problem with us, and we solve it with violence. And they just went in on the patriarchy and Christian Cage, and we have that tomorrow night when I release this. On Dynamite, the ops, and I love that, by the way. I love that as a rap fan. I love the ops as the name of a faction, and hey, I'm fine with it. A lot of people are like not cool with a bunch of factions in AEW. I personally have always been a huge fan, and maybe that's because at the zenith of my fandom, WWF literally had Survivor Series gang wars. Where it was like Los Boricuas against the fucking DOA. I love that shit. Everyone has a place, man. And it's also real life. Like, we all identify as a part of some group somewhere, you know? I don't know. I think it works. I think you can do that and also be an individual. We get Jericho in the back, and he's mad at Bandito again, and he comes to the ring, and Bandito thankfully comes to the ring as well. And they fucking do it. They're going with it. Just like with Brian Keith and Bandito last week, they did the 10 paces in the ring with the silly music. I love this. Very DDT. When they turned around, Bandito got fucking snaked by old Brian Keith from the outside. Outrunners run out to even up the odds. Big Bill's like, fuck that. I'm a big guy. I'm the giant of AEW. I'm going out there and I'm matching the odds and exceeding them, in fact. And then old Powerhouse runs out to the ring, ripping his shirt off, looking meaty. They start beating each other's ass. And then Big Bill just says, fuck this, I'm tired of it. Spine bustered. Right in the middle, though. And Hobbs is like, you know what? Fuck this. And then we find out that next week, which is tomorrow, there will be a street fight with Big Bill an old fucking powerhouse, and I'm all about it. I love it. I've loved their interactions lately. Good shit. And then this is also good shit where Marina and Moxley are fucking around in the back, and then Cope and fucking Jay White just like usher her into a room. The chain on the fucking briefcase is extended and caught in the door. They just bolt cut that bitch and run off. So they steal the briefcase. Moxley comes out of nowhere pissed. Amazing. Dustin Rhodes said some words. It was what it was. And then we got the match, Dustin Rhodes and MJF. This was fantastic. This was a beautiful little ode to the past, in my opinion. It was MJF tapping into that Buddy Landell skill set that he does have, and that is a compliment in terms of just doing minimal stuff but getting the maximum reaction. He leaned into, hey, it's Dustin Rhodes' hometown as a shoot. This is easy. Everyone's going to love him. So let me just beat his fucking ass. Let me break his arm in front of everybody. So he worked on that shoulder and arm pretty extensively. He took everything that Dustin Rhodes had, too. He took some crossroads in there. He took some fucking weird shit that he does. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. He's just doing fucking ROH. But either way, he was fucking gold dust in his prime here on this night. And MJF brought the best out of him. And in the end, of course, with it being MJF, he fucking took advantage. Got that arm for the final time and would not give off of that hold, the salt of the earth arm bar. Dustin never tapped, but the ref said, fuck, you're old. Let me just ring this bell right now. And so they did that. Hangman comes down and we got a beautiful brawl. It went all over the place, all through the crowd. This was great. The fans are all about this. This is a great way that AEW is putting this feud together because they gave us the glimpse. We reacted and they went, oh, good. Okay, we got something then. And let's fucking go with it. So let's fucking go with it. And they definitely are. And it is in the thumbnail where he's getting flipped off and just kissing at him. That was great. The other good one, and I didn't get a good screenshot of, is when the guy's like, here's my beer, MJF. And he goes, ha, yeah, here it is in your face, bitch. I love that. Like, that's beautiful. And in the back, we have another little fun situation in terms of Ricochet. Renee in the back with Swerve and Nana. Swerve's like, this shit's not done, Ricochet. Let's go. And Nana kind of stops him and he's like, nah, man, no, we don't need to worry about personal shit. Let's get Moxley and that belt back. And Swerve straight up says, nah, fucking Ricochet has to pay and he's got to give me that robe back. We're going to end it. Good stuff. Again, making it more important than the title puts Ricochet over huge, especially considering that Swerve is, I think, their most memorable world champion of the last at least year, 2 years. And that's, again, MJF had that long run, but I think Swerve's had a bigger impact for sure. Megan Bayne, who has been, I mean, not in the company long at all and already making an impact. She kills Maya World here. And yes, I don't know who that is. She kills her. And then as she's leaving, Megan Bayne's like, I fucking killed that bitch with an F5. Chris Statlander comes to the ring for her match against Penelope Ford, and you definitely see some shade thrown by Megan Bayne. I liked Statlander and Ford. This was a really solid match. I think Penelope Ford has really put on a great performance every time she's been back. She's clearly worked at it very hard in the ring. And hey, listen, that's only good for everybody because this women's division is exciting because of people like Penelope Ford who really haven't gotten anywhere yet in the company, but they have a lot of potential. So great showing, but at the end of the day, it's Statlander, and it was Wednesday night Stat. She hits the fucking Wednesday night fever. It's over. But at the end of the match, Megan Bayne is like, I'm just not cool with what just happened. And she fucking F5 Statlander on the floor. Oh my God. Then we cut to the back And by the way, just real quick though about the Megan Bayne thing. It's insane that she just killed Thunder Rosa, former world champion. Now she's killed Chris Statlander, a former TBS champion. They are putting her over. So AEW clearly understands the assignment, and they definitely understand that people want women on TV, and you have a lot of great women. And another one's Willow, who's in the back with Renee. Renee's just all over the place, as usual. Willow's talking about how she's going to Tokyo Joshi, and Marina Shafir whips her fucking ass. They go off camera, and Moxley is like, Copeland, you're fighting fire with fire. You're a dead man walking. I'm fixing this tonight. So that was good. Short and sweet Moxley. Sometimes better than the long-winded Moxley. Okay, that's what I'll say about that. And then Harley Cameron had a great video package where it starts goofy and silly with the Muppet Monet and all that, and then she cuts a heartfelt promo about, like, you know, I had no idea how to wrestle not that long ago, but I also didn't know how to do all the things I know how to do at one point either, and you know, it's going to be great to go to my home country, and I'm winning that title. This was beautiful. This was really a perfect encapsulation of why Harley Cameron has gotten so over. And it's because she's genuinely happy to be here. And it shows, you know, and also she's genuinely very talented at everything she does. And I am very excited to see where she goes going forward in AEW or elsewhere. The main event, though, AEW World Tag Titles, the Hurt Syndicate defend their new belts against the Guns, who return. This is the return match. Holy shit, I would hate to have this as a return match. They got the shit beat out of them, but they fucking held their own against Lashley and Benjamin. I think this was a good match back. I mean, I don't think a lot of us expected them to win the titles either way, but it makes sense in theory because they did not, I believe, ever get that number one or one-on-one, two-on-two tag title match that they were owed after being champs years ago. So it makes sense. It also gives the Hurt Syndicate another strong team to beat to continue to build them. They're a new act, but obviously I would say one of the most, if not the most over act in AEW right now. They fucking level the Guns, but then at the end, we see Brian Cage and Lance Archer, the Murder Machine, clapping, kind of like, you know, fucking with Hurt Syndicate. So I'm there for that match as well. I just wish we would do more with Brian Cage and Lance Archer than just give them big matches they constantly lose. I'll say that. Not into that. We have Mariah May talking about Timeless, and she kind of cracks here. She shows that she's fucking crazy. So interesting there, and that leads us obviously to when we talk about Grand Slam in a second. But the final thing on Dynamite was Jay White and Cope coming out to the ring with the briefcase. They got some promos. Cope brings out Spike, which, I'll be honest, this was a little silly to me because I do remember him doing the Spike thing, but I also remember the first time he did it not liking it either. But it makes sense in this sense because he's like, well, you know, I don't have the key or whatever to this briefcase. That's fine. I'll just fucking bust it open. So he starts whacking this thing. And before he whacks it, Mox comes out, whoa, no, you know, whatever. You want that title match at Revolution. Damn it, you got it. But, you know, you be careful what you wish for kind of thing. Cope says, yeah, well, I was going to break it anyway. So he starts hammering this fucker. Death Riders come in and they're fucking whipping ass. And somehow, some way, things get divided in the Death Riders camp here. And they get at their asses whooped. I mean, Cope's spearing people. Jay White's Blade Runner and guys. And they're like, we're ready for a Grand Slam. Good ending. Great Dynamite. Especially for one that was like pre-recorded. You know, you're used to WWE just putting on the same 50th fucking rematch in the main event or whatever. I thought it was great. So that gets us to Grand Slam Australia. And it opened with Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita Holy fuck. This was great. This was a great match. I do think it definitely fell apart, understandably, when Kenny Omega fucking landed on the back of his own head during a poison Rana on Takeshita, which was fucking terrifying. Holy fuck. Maybe don't do that again. That was very fucking scary. I'm not gonna lie. But outside of that, this was phenomenal. I think Fletcher looked as good as he ever has, and that's including World's End. Same with Ospreay. He's doing corkscrew fucking planches to the outside. Holy fuck. I mean, this was everything you wanted in just a super fucking fast but strong match from AEW. And the end was insane. We got the one winged fucking whatever fucking elbow thing. I forgot what it's called, but it was crazy. Okay, just there you go. I'm sorry, I don't remember the fucking, what is it, the Assassin's Hidden Blade. There you go. Fuck, it took me 7 years. Guys, sometimes you gotta remember, I'm a wrestling boomer. Okay, I'm like, what's that guy's finish? Either way, this was great. Even my wife, who does not like Omega or Ospreay, I don't know why, she's like, I don't like him. She admitted this was great, so, great fucking seal of approval there. And a perfect way to start this thing. I was very surprised that was the opener, but it delivered. And then later we find out during the show, and I'll just talk about it now, that Omega challenges Takeshita for the international title, and then on top of that, TK tweaks it and goes, no, what we're going to do is the winner of a Revolution... Well, hold on, I'll fucking pull it up. What's it called here? The Revolution International Championship Series, which we'll get into that later, but I wanted to pull that up because that is basically, at the end of the day, a little mini tournament for the international title, essentially, to then go and defend against Kenny at Revolution. I'm fine with it. I think people are kind of low on it because they're not used to wrestling that is based on, actual wrestling results. I'll go there. And that's just the truth. I saw a lot of hate on fucking Blue Sky and shit. And to me, it's like, open your third eye of wrestling, folks. It's not all about the formula you're used to. And after you've watched fucking 1979 Memphis and seen the most insane ideas I've ever heard of, to this day probably, then you realize, like, oh, it's fucking, this is all silly. Like, there's no right way. So anyway, I thought that was cool. And then with Ospreay, he fucking ups the ante and goes, Kyle Fletcher, let's end this motherfucker the right way. Let's do a steel cage match at Revolution. So out of this tag match, we got a huge chunk of Revolution solved. Bravo, AEW. Speaking of Bravo, AEW, Mercedes Moné versus Harley Cameron. Holy good Lord. What a great match this was. And really, what a great match this was. It was solid. It was bizarre. It was like a Stardom match. And you would have never known that Harley Cameron has as little experience as she does. Just a remarkable showing. I mean, a lot of legitimate moments where I thought that it was over and we had a new champion. And Australia did too. Brisbane was there for this shit. Just a remarkable match. Harley did come up short, but as Momo Watanabe from Stardom and Hate Faction sat ringside scouting, Mercedes Moné got the win. She was all up in her face afterwards, so we'll see. I will say as well, on the Ring of Honor Global Wars show that was put up yesterday, Athena also beat Alex Windsor in her Ring of Honor World Title match, and same thing, face off with Momo. So now it becomes, who does Momo want to wrestle and potentially beat for the title? So very, very great showing. And again, like I said, Harley Cameron, it can only go up from here. But yeah, I mean, strong match. And then, of course, Death Riders against Cope and Jay White, the Brisbane Brawl. This was a very good brawl. I mean, fucking at one point, Copeland does another jump off of the fucking balcony down onto Claudio, which I was like, oh my God. And I literally thought he broke his leg again. Thank God he did not. Jay White was solid here. Obviously, not the usual Jay White fare where it's a technical, solid, long form match, but he's great in any spot. I mean, he really, really is. And this was no different. Claudio and Moxley get the win after Copeland is choked the fuck out. And a lot of people were like confused. But to me, this makes a lot of sense because if we're doing Copeland and Moxley for the world title at Revolution, then it makes sense for the heels who a lot of people are low on. Everyone's kind of whatever on this Death Riders thing. Okay, then you got to put them over a little bit. Make them look strong. Make them look badass. Maybe that'll work. Maybe for once that'll work. I don't know. I still think Copeland gets the world title. I'm whatever about it. I'm sure there'll be some fuckery. We'll get to that the sooner that we get there, or as soon as we get there, rather. But for Jay White, this is the weird part because I don't know what he does for Revolution. Where does he fit? You know, right now he's not really associating with the Guns on TV, which is weird, but they're still all doing the fucking Bullet Club Gold thing. So I don't know. I have no fucking clue what's going on with him at Revolution. Maybe they do another gauntlet match that he's involved in. Maybe a ladder match he's involved. I have no idea. But it's undeniable now that Jay White is a main event guy in AEW. And I think that it was clear in this show. I think it's been clear. But this stuff he's doing with Copeland, I mean, he feels on Copeland's level. And that's not easy to do. Obviously, as well, another highlight of this match was the crowd literally singing Copeland's song to him, and he got very emotional, which I'm a big fan of. Great showing, I think, all around. But I think this match here, Kazuchika Okada defending the Continental Championship against Buddy Matthews, was the match of the night. These two guys have phenomenal chemistry. They really put on a classic. And to remember, I believe the Continental title matches are not long. They're like 20 minutes or something. So even though it wasn't a very long match, it was long enough. And these guys put on a classic. And it's really impressive now knowing that Buddy Matthews rolled the fuck out of his ankle during his entrance. And I saw the video. It was really gross. I hope it's not too bad. I mean, he didn't really look like he lost any step at all. He was great here on everything. He's doing dives and shit. And yet again, Okada really just proved that, you know, everyone's talking shit. Everyone's saying, oh, fucking Okada went to AEW to be a clown. I'll clown your ass and have another classic fucking match. And he did. I mean, Okada is as good as he's ever been in AEW right now. I don't care what anybody says. This was a great match. And this really cemented the Continental Championship as something that people really want. And I love that because I like the idea of it. You know, I know everyone's weird about like the Continental Classic tournament and all that. You know, why is there a title that just continues to get defended? I always was kind of, you know, maybe naive, but I kind of wanted that for the King of the Ring as a kid. So I'm all for it. I'm also a mark for tournaments, to be really honest. So I'm all there for all that. But Okada's like the perfect fit then. If you're going with the Continental Championship is like the Iron Man belt, right? Like you're the best of the best wrestler, right? It's like the WCW TV title for a while. Then Okada's your guy. I mean, he is your guy until it's time for you to give Okada the world title or whatever comes next. But I thought it was great. I kind of was bummed out they didn't give it to Buddy, but now that he had the ankle thing, it was probably for the best anyway, but I think this doesn't hurt Buddy going forward. It only helps him, and the Hounds of Hell, I mean, they're fucking over, guys. So, yeah, I thought this was the match of the night, easily. But the moment of the night belongs to these two women. The main event, Mariah May defending the AEW Women's World title against Timeless Toni Storm in her home country, merely miles away from her hometown of Gold Coast. Looked at it on the map. Brisbane's just a little further north than Gold Coast. So this was absolutely raucous. This crowd was all there for Timeless. She had the blues on for Australia. She was the girl. She was the Aussie girl here. And I thought this was a phenomenal match. It wasn't as long, I believe, as their all-in match. And if it was, it definitely wasn't, I think, as good of a match, maybe. But in terms of moments and special feeling wrestling stuff, this takes the cake. This was great, and I love that Mariah just kept giving Tony everything, and she would not quit. And in the end, it was the small package that she has, by the way, won every return match she's had since coming back with this amnesia thing. And she does it. She becomes the only woman in history to win 4 world championships in AEW. She makes absolute fucking history. I mean, I think it goes without saying that Toni Storm is the top woman in all of AEW and has been really since she got there. I like that they're leaning in, and I know Tony hates having multiple time champions, it seems. It's really weird. Like, if you think about it, I think her and Moxley are the only 2 people that I know that have had, like, 2 or more championship runs. Maybe Sammy with the TV belt or something, or like Wardlow in the TNT. But that's what I'm saying. It's like one handful of people have been a multiple time champion. He doesn't do it a lot, and I think he did it right with Tony. It's her second run with the timeless gimmick, and I think that this might be her biggest and greatest. I think Mariah was a great champion, though, and she is not going to go anywhere. This will be a blood feud. I'm sure they'll do a third match, maybe at Revolution. I don't know, maybe a multi-woman. Either way, this was the right call. This was great, especially when you had Buddy lose and you had Jay lose. You needed a hometown win, and they picked the perfect time for the main event here in the 4-time women's world champion. That's crazy to me. And that leads us to tomorrow night, AEW Dynamite, and we are going to have a great show because it's going to be these 2 crazy fuckers, fucking Hangman and MJF face to face, mano y mano. And that will be wild. And then, of course, the start of the thing everyone's mad about online, the International Championship Series. Orange Cassidy against Roderick Strong. Orange coming back. I think that's interesting, I don't know. I think Orange gets this one, though. I think he goes on to face Takeshita, and everyone gets the feels. And then Takeshita crushes his ass, and we get Takeshita Omega. And I can't imagine how good that's going to be at Revolution. Powerhouse and Big Bill street fight. I'm all for it. Ooh, I don't know, man. I could see either guy win, but I think Powerhouse continues because his momentum is quite impressive. And of course, my boy Samoa Joe, my absolute favorite wrestler of all time, Hook and Shibata, the Ops against the Patriarchy. Oh, man, I would love the Ops to win, and I think they probably will, actually. They're probably going to do the thing with Christian where he just keeps losing, and then he just wins the fucking world title, because why not? Either way, it's going to be fucking awesome, and that is what I've got for y'all this week. Man, I mean, it was one of those weeks where everything seemed to happen, right? Like, and by the way, I've got a fucking Noah show that I'm watching. I believe it was Star Navigation Premium. Yes. Very beautiful name. But either way, it's a great show. Ozawa, their fucking GHC champion, is a fucking perv weirdo guy. I hate to even say perv, but he's definitely a weirdo guy that has his tongue out a lot. So you make the decision on what that means. But either way, that was it. By the way, for anyone, what about what WWE's doing? Not a lot, okay? And that's not me being a hater. That's just being honest. I mean, I fucking looked all over Blue Sky and shit, and nobody had anything of importance for me other than, I guess, the ref fucked up a finish with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. So that was Raw, guys. Woo! Holy shit. I mean, I guess there was NXT stuff, but whatever, guys. You know. Oh, right. Ricky Starks is in NXT. There you go. Just like I called it last week. I'll go there. So there you go. That's your that's your vast WWE NXT segment. And until next week, go do something you love to do. Don't just let people online bicker and make you hate yourself and everything you love. Go love what you love and come back to me next week and we'll just be little weirdos together, little sickos, if you will. Thanks.